Hey, happy Saturday night, everybody. You're probably figuring out what you're going to do tonight, what club you're going to go to, or what movie you're going to go to, whatever. What you're going to go out and do on Saturday. I am working on a plan to end the madness. Instead of doing that, I really would like to go to some place, have a beer, sing some karaoke really bad, and just not have any worry in the world. But I've got to put that on the back burner right now and do what I need to do. So I'm here making videos on Saturday night, and I don't mind. I actually kind of enjoy doing this now that it's become something that I have to do, that I need to do, and get some fulfillment out of it. But yeah, I wouldn't mind this whole thing ending and tossing this paper off to the side. Never have to think about this again. Although this will never leave my memory as long as I live, and I'll always be keeping an eye out for it. But I wrote down some notes tonight, and I wanted to do this. I was thinking about doing a live stream, but like I said, most of you are probably figuring out what you're going to be doing tonight, or or you're already out doing something on the weekend. But I was thinking about today. Well, I was driving around going to garage sales. I did one of the things I like to do that I've done for years, and recently, because I've figured out a way to purchase a lot of the stuff that I need for my business online, I don't leave my house much anymore. Ever since I was arrested, I've been a recluse. I've been what's the word? Agoraphobic, I guess. A little bit of agoraphobic. Once you've been gang stalked so much and so much chaos has happened in your life, just from leaving the house, you tend to not want to do that anymore. You want to stay inside where it's safe, but there's no such thing as safe. Stay in your house, you get hit with direct energy weapons or whatever they're using on you, and it, no matter where you go, what you do, you're going to be attacked and stalked. So I decided to start going back out. I went out today, went to some garage sales, and it was pretty amazing. There was very, very little gang stalking. I mean, I used to go out and it would seem like I was completely surrounded. And I can leave now, go do some things, end up having what feels like normal conversations with some people. It seems like they are oblivious to the fact that I'm targeted now. Like their app isn't going off on their phone or something, or something has changed. Something's changed where they're not getting the heads up that I'm somebody different than who I am. And so I had some conversations with some people today. Out going to these garage sales. There was a rummage sale at a school, and there's all these. There were some senior citizens, and there were some parents, out there just bringing out all this old stuff to sell. And a lot of times when you go out and you do this thing, it's kind of like a social event. People aren't always necessarily out there just to sell their stuff. They're getting out to talk and meet new people, see what's going on in the world, people watch. There's a bunch of different reasons why they do this, especially the older people that swap meet. There's a lady that goes out to the 40th Street swap meet, it's Washington Street. Washington 40. Anyway, yes, yeah, it's Washington Street. Anyway, I've talked to her several times. Every time I go to that one, I talk to her. And she's got just a couple little knickknacks sitting around. She doesn't even care if she sells anything. She's out there for her social time. She's been going out there for 20-something years. And all the people she talks to are, friends and other business owners, I guess you'd say, other swap meet sellers. And it sounds kind of I don't know, for any of you that have never been involved in the buy sell kind of the resale game, going to swap meets, garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores, all that kind of stuff. There's a network of people, just like any business, different groups of businesses. You know, you work for a law firm, you know these people over here that work for this other law firm. You've worked on cases against each other or related to each other or whatever. You know, it's kind of the same thing with the swap meet world. And just because it looks like a bunch of junk and some of the people have old clothes on and they might be dirty, doesn't mean that they're not making 3 times more than you. Some of the people in the resale game are millionaires, literally. I know a couple of them. People that just started out with nothing, kind of like the guy with the one red paper clip. He, I don't know if you ever heard that story, but he started out with a paper clip, started trading, traded for this, traded for that, traded for that, ended up with like his own island or something like that. I don't know. The guy, I can't remember the whole story, but the guy ended up in a way better situation than he started off with just from trading and bartering. Some of these people do pretty well. After expenses are done, I still make a decent living. Trying to think if I should tell you how much I made this year. Selling hats, used hats, and some other used stuff. I grossed over 100,000. So gross is not net. I don't make $100,000 a year, but I brought in over $125,000 actually, gross total. But that I have to subtract shipping, eBay fees, the products that I buy, the tape, the lint rollers, all the stuff that it takes to go around. And then you end up taking about $70,000 off of that, and then you have what I actually make. But I don't have what's considered a real job, and some of these people that do this are making way more than me. They probably don't like that I'm even talking about it right now, but you know, whatever. Targeted individuals, you'd be the perfect kind of person. You're in a perfect kind of situation to go out and scavenge, and it's fun. You're doing something positive. You're recycling. A lot of this stuff would go in a landfill, or end up in a landfill, getting bundled up, shipped to a third world country. You know, whatever. Which is fine. They need clothes too. But there's a lot that can be done with that. But I don't know how I got off on that tangent. Kept talking about that, but I think what I started talking about that for is because, because it gives you a chance to be in a network, and you know, I'm sure it'll get infiltrated, just like everything that you do gets infiltrated. But there are a lot of free-thinking, independent kind of people that do this. And they're a little harder to crack sometimes, I think, than you know, your office worker or the person that's in a position where they're just constantly taking orders rather than not having to think for themselves. I've met some people along the way that I admire and look up to that are pickers, you know. So while I was out doing my thing, I had a chance to network and socialize and advocate a little bit, give some information out to some people. And there were some people that didn't look at me like I was crazy. They were interested in what I was saying, and even asked me to hang out for a second so they could grab a pen and write down some of the information I was giving them. I was giving them words like targeted individual, gang stalking, executive order 13818, Jerome Corsi, QAnon. A lot of the things that I researched and I look up, I was giving some of these people some of these keywords to go look up. One was like maybe a 35, I'd say, year old, really good looking soccer mom. And one was like probably almost, I'd say, 75-ish lady getting ready to move back to Boston. Two totally different demographics. Um, that were interested in this information I was giving. The older lady was more interested, and she talked about how she sits down with all of her friends and they talk about the news and everything that's going on, and they just can't seem to get any real news. Everything they hear ends up being a lie, and she doesn't know where to, think of her source of news back in the day was the newspaper and gossip. So they got what was given to them in the newspaper, and then everybody just talked about that. Now there's all kinds of new, different avenues, and these people, some of them are willing to use the internet to look some stuff up. That's awesome. So I talked to them, gave them some information, and they thanked me, and it was pretty surreal after going through this thing for so long and having everybody, it seemed like, just discount what you're saying. I finally felt like I made a little bit of progress, and that wasn't even my goal today. I just wanted to get out of the house and go do something. Go drive around, go, my windows down, go treasure hunt like I normally do. It's fun. It's fun for me to find something good. Didn't find anything good today. Found very little, but I did get to talk to some people that were asking for more information. I wasn't even in like the greatest mood, smiling at everybody, saying hi, start conversations like I normally do. I was pretty standoffish, but for some reason, conversations kept coming up, even though I wasn't trying to talk about this stuff. It would just come up. Um, and I was thinking that is one of the best ways right now, currently, for information to get out, is for people to hit the ground running, go out and talk to people in your community. I think a lot of people are missing that. Everything's done through social media now. Everything is just online. You have to look up, you can't get well, you can, but a lot of people don't get the physical newspaper anymore. They don't have conversations with friends all the time because they don't have to gather together to to talk, to get information from each other. They just, everything's a text or social media, whatever. But getting that information out to enough people is going to take some organization and some leadership. So what I was thinking is targeted individuals are all at different stages of their learning. Last year at this time, I had no idea what the hell was going on. I knew that actually at this time my wife was still here. The anniversary of her leaving will be in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, something like that. Anyway, so it's been almost a year since I didn't even know that this was a thing that happens to people. I just knew that I felt like I was living in the Twilight Zone. It was a weird dream. Everybody kept screwing me over. I didn't understand what was going on. Now, I almost feel like I'm an expert on this subject. And when I say an expert, I don't know every little intricacy of every little thing, like how the satellites work, how every single little thing works. But when somebody says, explain organized stalking to me now, I don't stumble. I can talk about almost every aspect of it, except for the V2K. I haven't got that myself, but I still know quite a bit about it just from reading and listening to other targeted individuals. But so now that I'm kind of to this level where I understand the scope of what's going on, I've realized some things on my own, where the funding could be coming from, how it's carried out, why it's carried out, that there's multiple reasons. There's a lot of different things that I just think of as standard information now. And a lot of that standard information is priceless to somebody that doesn't know they're targeted, that is targeted, or somebody that's just finding out. They're going through the same thing I was last year, and it just became overt, and you're freaking the F out because you can't comprehend that something like this could be going on, one, and that two, that you were picked for it. who's coming after you? What's going on? You know, so you're in this panic mode. You know, I thought after my wife left and I was getting weird messages from people, even some old people that I thought were old friends that I thought were friends were messaging me that were in on this, that were leaving odd, like double entendre kind of messages. They could mean one thing or another. You know, it sounds like they're being helpful, like hang in there, but what they really they don't mean stay tough. They mean like hang in jail, uh, that kind of thing. Those double entendres, and all of the information is good, but I think once you've gotten to the point where a lot of this seems like standard operating procedure every day, you know, okay, well, it's become almost, I want to say normal, but doable now. Now that I understand. Understanding is one of the biggest things because you're left in the dark on purpose. So you have to figure all this stuff out. It's like one of those trap rooms where they trap you in and you got to figure out all these different ways just to get out of the damn room. People pay for that. They think that's fun. Maybe we should get a list of all those people and they can be targeted individuals if they think this is fun. See how fun it is. In order to get information out to not just targeted individuals, but to the general public. So this isn't stigmatized anymore. So people understand that this is actually a program, not, and even if they're involved and they think that they're just part of their community watch, you know, and you can open their eyes so they can say like, wait a minute, I thought I was just part of the homeowners organization, keeping an eye on terrorists. You mean to tell me that some of these people aren't actually terrorists and that we are part of this bigger picture that's happening to these people? Look how many people have died, you know, that kind of thing. And that's what a lot of this is deception from the higher ups, deception all the way down through the ranks to where the people on the bottom think that they're great Americans, are doing their job, they're keeping their community safe. Meanwhile, they're responsible for people dying and being incarcerated, being put in mental facilities for profit, put on prescription medications. So to change that perception, change the stigma, and promote awareness, there's going to have to be some organization. There's going to have to be some kind of leadership. There's going to have to be a structure of targeted individuals that have all of these different talents and gifts, things that they're good at. It's kind of, I'm going back to one of my last videos, a few videos ago. I talked about how different people have different talents, different gifts, and they should, just put in what they have to offer. And I realized a lot of people aren't self-motivating people. To the kind of person that can run a business and get up in the morning and figure out what needs to be done and I don't want to say put the effort in to do all of that, but put the just have the organizational skills and the drive to just run a business on your own, because there's no manager, there's no boss, there's nobody telling you, hey, you need to do this. If you're late, you're in trouble. We need that done by Thursday. There's none of that. You just have to do it. I have customers that want me to ship their items to them on time, and there's some restraints for me. I have to provide good customer service, or else I won't be able to do this anymore. And that's okay if you're not that kind of person. Not everybody is that kind of person. I'm not even really that kind of person. I just wanted to do my own thing, and that was kind of what came along with it, Now I've become that kind of person. I'm self-motivating. There's still some things I hate to do. I'm working on these damn taxes. hate it. I hate taxes. But I have to do it. I actually have somebody helping me that's bugging me to get them some information that I need to get them. And, you know, it's like, yeah, it's just a pain in the ass. I don't like it, but it's got to be done. I'll probably work on that when I get done here. And get going with that. So I guess where I'm going with this whole thing is any large group that is successful, whether it's some kind of team, some kind of business, some kind of government organization, some kind of charity, there's usually somebody in charge or a governing board in charge. Sorry with the weird light. I got a lamp under here, so because it's getting dark. If you're wondering why the weird lighting, but there's some kind of structure, and that's where I've noticed that targeted individuals in general haven't built up a structure yet. There's small groups that have formed, like the techno crime fighters. There's several people with that. There is oh, what is the one with the shamrock on the front of it? Look in here. Organized. What is it? Huh. Had that on here. Anyway, targeted justice. Right there. Almost. Okay, so there's targeted justice. There's the techno crime fighters. Well, Ella Free has a following now. A lot of people watch her, and I think she works together with a few people. But there are some small groups starting to form, and they're kind of each one that's formed, it seems to have kind of a niche group of people that, you know, kind of identify with each other. Like the techno crime fighters are seem to be all women, and you know they gravitate towards each other, and they are a group of very smart women that just identify and connect with each other, and they've found friends with each other, so they've started their group, and they've done a lot, you know. A lot as far as getting information out, being advocates for people, marketing, networking. You know, they're doing a good job. And the other one that I just said, Targeted Justice, seems like they've got a nonprofit started. So somebody formed that group. I don't know if it just happened organically or if somebody said, I'm going to form a group. I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk to some people. Well, that is what needs to happen. There needs to be, like I said, organization, leadership, and then, okay, so, yeah, I'm going to go back. This needs to start with organization. And there has to be some kind of leadership. I would say instead of having one person be the president or in charge or anything, have like maybe 10 people on a governing board that are voted in. First, they have to be willing to take that position, but there can be a vote put out that can take over, I don't know, a month or two or something like that, just to make sure it gets out to all the targeted individuals. And it's hard to verify who's actually targeted and who isn't, because there's so many agents that are inserted into this whole thing to give misinformation. bunch of different random stuff. But anyway, between everybody in all of the social networking groups, just the groups of people have formed together, there would be a way for all of us to vote in 10 different people. I could think of 10 people off the top of my head that would be good at kind of helping make decisions regarding the overall good of the targeted individual community. Okay, so what those 10 people would be in charge of basically is like the triage process in the medical field. Say I'm doing some training with the fire department, we do triage training, we go out and there's a mass casualty, say a plane has crashed and there's bodies everywhere. Well, they have different tags for the different levels of injuries. You know, there's a tag for if you're dead, there's a tag for if you're about to die and you need immediate care, there's a tag for like the walking wounded. You know, they're walking, they got a broken arm, there's a tag for them, there's a tag for people that are perfectly fine, that can help. You know, you separate everything by groups. And then you work on it in that order. They do it in hospitals, they do it everywhere. They, you know, a gunshot wound comes in and somebody's got a broken arm, the guy with the broken arm is going to wait. He's more important, they got to save his life. That's kind of how this would operate with the targeted individual group. The people that are managing the targeted individual group, coalition, whatever the name would end up being, would be in charge of figuring out what topics, what functions are the most important to this whole process. With input from other targeted individuals too, you know. This has to be a collective. Like some perp. I was trying to think of a different name to call it. Some perp was messaged on my YouTube account, said something about how there's no way that we're going to defeat the collective, or that you know, something like that. So the collective, huh? Is that what they're calling themselves, a collective? But, so we've got, say, 10 people in charge, making decisions on what needs to be done, just like in a business, in the military, different things like that. They send that information down to the managers. So what we could do, there would be underneath these 10 people, there could be maybe 10 managers for each, you know, I don't know, the numbers change, whatever, but a certain amount of managers underneath the leadership that facilitate getting all of the information out to the workers. And that would just be normal everyday TI that doesn't have enough time or resources to be part of the management or put that much effort into it, but you can do some things on your weekend or after work or whatever in your spare time. I know that's almost impossible when you're targeted, because there's always something that's stealing your time, there's always something that's getting in your way, and it's tough to do this, but it's got to happen. So leadership passes down tasks that need to be carried out to managers. Managers facilitate that by disseminating information out to the workers. And then the workers put all of the time and effort they can into whatever project they're given, and then report the information back to management, and then they will report that to leadership, and then leadership will have there would need to be some kind of, and there's going to be other jobs in between here too, but there would need to be some kind of public relations group. and that would be the decision of the leadership, what we do with the public relations group. But the public relations group would be responsible for a couple things. They'd be responsible for getting all of the information out to the targeted individuals that on our progress, and also getting the information out to the general public. That would have to do something with the workers too, because you'd be passing out flyers on social media, making memes and stuff like that. But that's just kind of a general idea of structure for targeted individuals. I'm sure there are business professionals out there that have written 5-year plans, have had to review 5-year plans, had to review corporate structure, things like that, that would be way better at structuring this than me. This is just, I had a limited, no, I don't want to say I had a limited, I had some management training. Actually, when I went to the Airman Leadership School at McGee Tyson Air Force Base, in my class to become a staff sergeant, there was a section of our class that we went through, and they talked about how groups form, basically how groups react when a new group joins together, and they called it the storming, forming, and norming phases. So when a group is all coming together, and I would say that, anyway, I won't go that far ahead. I would say that right now, targeted individuals are still in. Okay, I haven't had to explain this for a long time. Okay, the storming phase of a group is when the group finally gets together. Everybody's starting to just get to know each other, figure out who they can work with, who they can't, who they like, who they don't, what people's weaknesses, what people's strengths are, and it's like a storm, Nobody really quite knows what's going on. They don't have all the information. They don't know who they're going to befriend, who they're going to stay away from. All this stuff is going through their head while they're in this new group. As time goes on, people start to find their little niche, their group that they're going to be in, their job. Excuse me. Who's going to benefit them, who isn't, all these different factors that are going through their head. They are forming their future, what they're going to be doing. And you've seen this, I'm sure, anybody that's been in a work environment, people have their little niches, have their groups they're in, work their way into a certain position, different things like that. That's the forming stage. Now, once that all gets worked out, and everybody kind of knows their position, they know what's expected of them, they know what groups work together well, what groups don't, what group you need to help you with a certain function, what group needs to work together to accomplish a certain task. You're starting to go into the norming stage. You're normalizing to where it's not all chaotic anymore. I know who everybody is. I know how things are done, and this is kind of normal, standard operating procedure for me. This is everyday life. TI community is far from that, but I think that we could be somewhere between the storming and forming stage. Not think, I know. We're somewhere between the storming and forming stage. Groups are starting to form together. People are networking. People are making friends, making contacts that need to be made in order to make forward progress. So we're right between the storming and forming stage there, and it all depends on how long a person has realized they're a TI and what amount of information they have. Some have just figured this out. They're just getting on the internet, searching different things, trying to figure out what the hell is going on with me. or with all these people? Have I entered the twilight zone? You know, and then there's the people that, you know, like I've been in this for a year now, and it seems not normal, but I'm not afraid anymore. I understand what's going on. I mean, there's just some still really horrible stuff going on in my life that could ruin my life right now. But I understand why and how, and that's a big help for your sanity, because if you have no idea what's going on, you think you could possibly be going crazy. You don't have the information to tell you what's going on. So there's people in those in different situations, and then there's people that have been they've known that they've been targeted for like 10 years, you know, and they hear a bunch of us talking about all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, that's normal everyday life now, you know, when it's normal to them, but it's still terrifying to somebody that is just figuring this out. Sorry, I'm looking at my light here. Looks like I've got black eyes. That'll help. So, getting organized, getting through that stage to the norming, to where we have an organized group that is normalized and knows what its daily operations are. Being that this isn't funded, that would be awesome to start a nonprofit like Targeted Justice. They are a pending 501c3, I believe, and they could probably use that to see. I don't know exactly how that works, but anyway, if there could be some kind of private funding, like I talked to a guy that scans people, and for a while he was getting private funding to do his research, and there are philanthropists out there that will donate to a certain cause because they want to see something done. Now, on top of that, they need a tax write-off. So if you're a 501c3, if you're a nonprofit, a verified nonprofit organization, people can donate to you that have to donate. If they have to donate to something to get down to the next tax bracket, to change their taxes, they're going to donate that money. A lot of their accountants will tell them at the end of the year, hey, we have to spend X amount of money. If not, you're going to be in this bracket and you're going to have to go, you know, do all this nonsense, pay a bunch of extra money. So you might as well donate to a charity of your choice, and you'll be a lot better off. So that would definitely be good to have that kind of thing, to have some funding for this, and then people could actually work full time on this. And I would try to be sabotaged. It would go to the people that are donating and try to tell them that, you know, what's going on. But if somebody donated to this, they would already understand that they're going to get lied to by whoever deep state people are going to come talk to them with their tie and their badge. Now, getting some of this information out to people, some of the things I was thinking about today, and I've kind of tried to develop some strategies to talk to people, and you have to, so I sold insurance for almost 5 years. I own the Farmers Insurance Agency in Fresno, Agent of the Year, got my little plaque over there on the wall still. I've talked about that in one of my videos, but when I was doing some of the training for that, in the sales training, they would talk about how you can't sell the same way to each person. There's different kinds of personalities. There's like the driver, the person that wants to be in charge of the conversation. That would be like a police officer, a military officer, or a lawyer kind of person maybe that wants to be in charge and take the conversation where it goes. And then you let them do that, and let them ask the questions and provide all the right answers in a certain way to where you're still selling your product, but you are letting them be in control. And then there's the analytical person, like the engineers and the computer coders and stuff like that, the people that think only fact. No, don't get me with emotion, nothing like that. Just tell me exactly every penny, exactly how this policy works. Give me all the technical information. There's that kind of person. You have to approach them with that kind of information. You have to speak their language, basically. And there's the yes person, and that's the person that wants to make you happy no matter what. Sorry, my phone's starting to go down here. But that's the yes person, and they will, to make you happy, they'll say yes. Anything, basically. That was like the insurance agent's favorite kind of person, because they talk them into everything, which is why some insurance agents have a slimy reputation. Sorry, that's just how it is. They were there for the sale. They had no heart and no expectation of longevity in their profession. They just want to sell the policy, get the person out the door, hope to never see them again. That's not how I did things. Anyway, there's different types of people that you're going to talk to and be trying to pass this information along to those people. So if you know them and you're trying to get them to change their perception of this whole thing and not think, oh, it's just a bunch of crazy people, it's a bunch of people that are being stalked and harassed under this ridiculous program, you're going to need to talk to the right people the right way. So I just wrote down a couple notes here. And remember this, and all of us have been guilty of this. Not everybody is always looking out for everybody else. A lot of people have their self-interest in mind, and that's okay. Sometimes you need to, think about other people, but you need to take care of yourself first. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. It's part of the reason they use some of the tactics they do in this stalking. I wrote this down, and I realized that I put target group, and I said target group to give information. So there's, like I said, there's different types of people. There's different groups that can take in this information. If you go to a church, or you go to a new church because you're already getting gang stalked at the one you go to a new church, and you can figure out who's in charge, have some literature ready, pass some things out so they get an idea of what is going on before they're approached by whoever that is part of your handler or part of your stalking management, before they get to them, so they have an idea of what could be coming. And if you do go to a church, think about what is important to them. They're going to church to talk about Jesus, or whatever religion you are. Most of the people who are targeted seem to be Christians. There's a few that are atheist, agnostic, few other different religions, I believe, but seems to be mostly Christians from just going through a lot of my stuff. But, I would talk about to a Christian how Jesus was persecuted by both sides, surrounded him basically, persecuted him, and that could get a conversation started. These people are being persecuted similar to the way Jesus was persecuted. That would be some information talk. Say you're talking to, and I just picked a couple types of people, the things that are going on right now, like Republicans and liberals seem to all hate each other right now, and they think completely differently. They're some kind of intertwined. Some people like some of the policies, some people like some of the policies, wish you'd put those together. But seems like for the most part people have picked teams. So we've got, say you're talking to a Republican. Explain to the Republican how much tax money is being spent on this and make it personal. Your tax money, that person's tax money, all the money that you sent to the IRS this year, a large portion of that is going to torturing, harassing, and slandering innocent American human beings. And they are wasting all of that and clogging the streets up and, just explain to them in terms that they would understand. Because if you tell them that a lot of people that are focused more just on money maybe aren't so empathetic. If you try to tell them, this is a human rights violation, this is a human rights, like, hey, survival of the fittest, whatever, running my business. And that being said, if you got a liberal, talk about human rights being violated, that seems to be a big thing with them with everything. And I'm not liberal, but it's a big thing with me. Let them know how many people this is affecting. Let them know the types of things that they go through and how they feel. A lot of liberals connect with feelings and emotions. Let them know what's happening to people, how they're being held down, how they're being suppressed, how they're being killed or killing themselves, and what it's doing to the, like the private prison system, all that. So figure out who you're talking to and give them the information in the way that's most easily digestible by that person. It's the best way I could say that. Okay, repeat this information over and over and over to people. Create literature and pass it out like churches do. So the Jehovah's Witness, who are gang stalking aficionados, they are good at getting people into their organization, even though I'm not trying to point out one specific place. I'm not saying that every Jehovah's Witness is a gang stalker as part of this whole thing, but I do know that they are involved in some way. They showed up at my door, I don't know how many times. Actually, I think one of the possibilities why I could have started getting gang stalked was because of the Jehovah's Witness. I literally pushed a guy off my property one time. He wouldn't leave. I told him, let me pray for you. I don't like that at all. I asked him if he would stand up and salute our flag. He said, no, I would not. And I told him, fuck off my property right now. And he wouldn't leave, so I pushed him off my property. And he didn't like that. That could be one of the ways I got targeted. Anyway, they will relentlessly knock on your door. How you doing? Can I give you the watchtower? We need to have a mentality kind of like that. Like, hey, this information needs to get out. The leadership decided that these flyers should go out to this many people, and they passed it down to the managers to get to the workers, and all the workers. Hey, your Saturday is going to consist of going and knocking on doors and handing these flyers out to people. And I know that we have a bigger risk than most people doing stuff like that, but it's just got to be done. It has to be done. Then you go to a different neighborhood, or mailers, or anything that's repetitious. Like when people buy advertising space on TV, they buy a certain number of commercials over a certain amount of time, and they have the same commercial, and it repeats over and over and over and over again. And which one is the one you remember? Unfortunately, the one like with the car salesman guy that's just completely ridiculous, and he's like jumping all over the place, and he just annoys you. And then at the end, they're like, "Call 333-222-155. Call 333-255," and they repeat that phone number like 4 times to where you're the point of like, God, I already heard this. You still remember that. I'm not saying go out and be annoying to people, but to have some passion, and be repetitive. Be repetitive. That's how propaganda works. The the same thing, simple message over and over and over again. Because a lot of times people will not even realize that they're hearing some information about something until they've heard it enough times to where it just kind of finally clicks and they go, oh, okay, that's what I've been trying to, or that's what people have been trying to tell me. It just taken a while to sink in. We've been so programmed and so sensitized to the way things are. Normally, for a lot of people to take in new information, it takes a lot of repetition and almost, I hate to say it, but brainwashing. And that's what's happened to us. So we need to use the same type of tactics to get the truth out and not brainwash people into something to deceive them, but use that repetitive propaganda style marketing and advertising to help the truth sink into their head. I can't think of any other way to do this. Oh, and then the different groups, different age groups of people too. Like an 18-year-old, 18 to 25. Imagine their reality compared to a 70-year-old. The 70-year-old is, now, everything is situational. The 70-year-old may be more tech savvy than some of the 18-year-olds, but just in general, these kids over here have every tech gadget you can imagine. Their social networking skills are amazing. They grew up with a phone in their hand. They know how to control all of that. And then the group over here, they don't know how to use any of that, but they know how to talk with each other, and they know how to network, and they know how to meet and get information through their group, doing their thing their way. And they're both, each different group is good at something. So we need to hit all of the different groups. Like I can go over to Sun City at the retirement area, Sun City West. I can go sit in a diner, and I can go sit down, and I can go talk to a group of older people. I just go sit at their table and start talking with them. Ask them questions about their past. Next thing you know, you're best friends. I've always been good at that, good talking with older people. I've liked it since I was a little kid. I don't know why. I've just identified with them. Maybe because I'm an old soul, I'm not sure. People that are good with all the tech stuff, and then figure out a way to get into some of those groups and get them. And all it takes is one. All it takes is you getting the information to one person, and they start talking in their group. Hey, did you know this? Did you know that? Plant the seeds and let the seeds grow, and then move to the next, and then plant the seeds and let it grow, and then have repetitious messages that go out. Working class people, people in the middle of who I was just talking about, they have a completely different reality. They are up in the morning, out there, get the kids fed, get the pet fed, make all the phone calls you need to make, get to work on time, get your projects done throughout the day, get ready to come home, get dinner made, get the house picked up, hopefully have enough time to watch a little TV or do a little studying or whatever, and then back to bed and then to work the next day. And they don't have time to research a lot of this stuff. So if some way you can incorporate getting this information into their workplace somehow, talk about workplace mobbing. I'm sorry about the pen. I'm fidgety. I know that's probably here, I'm going to throw that over there. It's probably like a trigger for some people. Be creative at getting different information to different people and be repetitive. And the only way to do this is by, well, not the only way, but the best way. The best way for this to happen on a mass scale is to have an organized group. So knowing that I might not be around for very long, I might only be a free man for another couple months. Please God, don't let that happen. if that happens, I won't be able to go forward and help facilitate this. There will only be left what I've left online and what I've talked to people about, and it's going to fade away. Or well, hopefully it doesn't fade away. Hopefully, it will grow something. But damn, sorry, I lost track. I just kind of let that sink in. We have to have some groups that can stick with this, be persistent, or a group that can stick with this, be persistent, and keep track of everyone. There's already people keeping track of us. If we can keep track of each other and have an accountability system. That's another thing in the military. We'd always have the accountability guy. We'd move from one place to the next. As soon as we got the next place, everybody they do a real quick accountability check. Head count. Okay, we had 30 when we left. We got 30 when we're here. Okay, everybody's face look familiar. Yep. Okay. And then if you're missing one or two people, oh wait, hold on. Why do we have 28 right now? All right, let's go down my checklist. Barden here, Jones here, Drudge here, Nilsson here, whatever. See who you're missing, see where they're at, and get those people back to where they need to be. There's nothing like that right now with targeted individuals. I don't think. There might be a master list or something that somebody's compiled of all the people they know that are targeted, but because the people that are doing this to us already have all this information. They already know all of this. It's all in some computer somewhere. They know everything about every single one of us. But we need to know everything about each other in a different way, just so we have accountability, just so we have an organized way for us to function. Reading these notes, man, my penmanship, yeah. See, I would not be the person to be writing things out. I'd be typing it out for people to read. So I wouldn't be the best scribe for the minutes for the meetings, stuff like that. Different people, better at different things. Networking. We're spread out all over the place, but people have what's up, buddy? People have conference calls. They figure this stuff out, and it doesn't matter if we're being monitored. If we still find a way to get the information out to them, to society, to the public, in a large-scale fashion. Let me know in the comments what you think about getting something together, an organized group, and who you think, off the top of your head, would be a good leader for that, to facilitate that. And maybe we can have a live stream about it too, while I go over I got some other notes on here that I wanted to talk about. But I think that's all I've got for right now. Yeah, this was almost an hour. Jeez, that goes by quick. All right, thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. Like this, share this, follow me on Facebook, Michael Barden. Twitter is Michael Barden number 8, MichaelBarden number 8. Share any information with me. If you're interested in being involved in part of the organizational group and part of the structured group of targeted individuals, let me know. And even if I'm not the one who organizes this, and I probably wouldn't be, because I just have the idea and the small amount of knowledge of this kind of organization. I know that there's some kind of business professional out there that worked for a large corporation, that worked for the military, that was higher up than me,
Ken Peartree, he was senior master sergeant. That guy, for sure, he went through NCO Academy and the senior NCO Academy, and he understands how to manage a lot more people, and he'd be a lot better with structure than I would. And there's other people that just have a better knowledge of structure. So I just kind of wanted to put this out there, and get it going in people's heads that we need to organize. All right. Good night, y'all. Have a good night.